In the early days of Evansville College, theater was an extracurricular activity. With the arrival of Professor Pearl LeCompte in 1926, the study of dramatic literature entered the curriculum. And with the 1957 arrival of Dr. Sam Smiley, theater productions became a vital part of campus life. The community also took notice and flocked to the East Side campus for student productions. In these early decades, theater productions at Evansville College received volunteer and financial support from the Junior League of Evansville. With the construction of the highly anticipated Shanklin Theater Complex, many of these early volunteers went on to form the Evansville College Theater Society.
I think it was in the early 1960s, and I was chairing a committee for the Junior League of Evansville.
Sam Smiley was the chair of the department. Members of the Junior League participated in working on costumes and helped us find props and that kind of thing.
We received a proposal from Sam requesting that we consider helping him perform Shakespeare in the high schools. It fell to me that I take Sam Smiley to Boise High School, and Sam proposed his idea to them, and they were enthusiastic. And when we left, I was enthusiastic, and Sam was walking on air, and we were very excited about the whole idea.
This is kind of all the stuff that went into it, you know, to create in a community, not off Broadway, but in a community that needed theater. Evansville didn't have any theater that was good and that was vital.
And so we were off and running, and Sam was able to do Shakespeare in the high schools.
It was because of that that a lot of members of the Junior League decided that we needed a permanent organization.
And I created, with the help of the Junior League, a theater organization for women. And so the women of Evansville became our Theater Society of Women, who went out to the society and brought in the audience.
There was a time when we started adding men to the board. It was all a female organization, and that was kind of the genesis of what we did for a number of years.
With 58 charter members, this new organization set about their first task, raising funds for student scholarships. In the following half-century, Evansville College Theater, and later the University of Evansville Department of Theater, grew to national prominence with the UE Theater Society as an integral and essential partner.
I think the Theater Society has done a very good job being advocates within the community.
I think the Theater Society is so important because, as in most communities, you can have something outstanding and no one really knows about it. So the Theater Society members bring people in who know very little about it and get them involved with this program.
In addition to supporting, we also help generate ticket sales.
Special dinners and recognition for faculty.
We do opening night parties for the main stage productions.
Supporting the students through a variety of types of functions throughout the year.
Freshman museum tour.
We do Easter dinner for the students.
Picnics, banquets.
Things like the Adopt a Student program.
I love the Adopt a Student program.
I think the first suggestion came from our marketing person, and John David was pretty convinced that it wasn't going to work.
Stephen Renner, who was our marketing director at that time, had this idea and presented it to me, and I said, oh, that'll never work. I said, you can try it. So he tried it, and it still exists today, and it's probably one of the best things the Theater Society does.
It puts the students in touch with people locally. They're very far from home in a small community they know nothing about, so we can immediately give them some bearings and show them around and answer some questions.
Many adults, if they think about their own college experience, can probably say they were never in a private home the 4 years they went to that school. So this gives a unique connection to Evansville, and many of the adoptive parents are much more creative than we are about things that they do with their kids.
We try to get together with them at least a couple times face-to-face during each semester, and sometimes drop off treats for them at the theater office.
In the past, there was bowling competition between Fred Foltz's kids and my kids, and We usually won, but we cheated.
It seems like most of our family events seem to revolve around food. We try to take them to restaurants at Evansville that are a little bit more off the beaten path that maybe they wouldn't find out about on their own.
The one constant that we must do every year is the Fall Festival.
We go to the Fall Festival.
The past few years when I've purchased a new car, I've always had to keep in mind now I need to have a third row seat because we've got to get the whole U of E family in the car to go to the Fall Festival.
I mean, that has become legendary, I guess, among UE students, and so it wouldn't be a complete year without a visit to the Fall Festival.
And unless they're vegetarians, the brain sandwich.
We feed them, we entertain them, we're there if they're having a bad day.
I've had kids that were really down and out and missing home who just call and say, can we go get everybody together and go have dinner? Or one-on-one, can I meet you for pizza?
They just know there's somebody here that they can call. And we've had interesting calls, which I won't talk about.
Yeah, there's a couple I shouldn't share.
It's kind of a safety net if they would really need to. And I would think if my child were away, wouldn't that be neat to know that they had somebody that they could contact?
And then I get to meet the parents. They will pull me aside and say, I just want to tell you how much it means to us to have somebody in this community that I know my daughters can trust, that they can turn to, or my son. We're away from them and we miss them and we worry about them, but we feel so much better knowing that you guys are involved with them.
The Theater Society also tries to support the department financially.
In the mission of the Theater Society, it says that we're not primarily a fundraising organization, but we have, over the years, found things that we needed.
I think one of the most meaningful is raising money for the assistantships.
That's another wonderful program because the kids get financial help and they work for it.
Some years ago, we set up an endowment. The income from that, along with our annual fund drive, provides over $40,000 to the students.
The assistantships are funding for students for work in the costume shop and in the scene shop and in the marketing area and the box office. They are awarded each semester, and I believe we are funding about 17, 18 students at $1,000 a semester.
Hi, my name is Tatyana Casas, and I am a junior theater management major from San Antonio, Texas. I think the Assistantship Fund is so special and so important to me and to so many of our students because it really allows us to use all of our time and energy to perfect our craft and to get the most out of our education, rather than having to use that time to wait tables or to find an outside job to pay the bills. As the Assistantship Liaison, I get to see how so many of our past recipients are willing to keep a relationship with this campaign and willing to give back to our students so that one day future students will have the same opportunities that they did.
The Simpson Trip is something that was endowed by a couple years ago.
It has generated funds each year that the students can go to professional theater. It might be in Louisville, Indianapolis, St. Louis.
One of the problems we have in the theater is that we're in Evansville, Indiana, and we don't have access to seeing professional theater on a regular basis.
It lets them see theater at another level above, their experience to go to a bigger city and see professional productions.
Hello, my name is Erin Gonner, and I'm a senior theater performance major from Dubuque, Iowa. And the Simpson Trip has always been very exciting for me because coming from Dubuque, Iowa, there's just not a lot of professional theater around. I think the closest professional house is in Cedar Rapids, which is about an hour and a half away, and then the nearest large market is Chicago, which is 3.5 hours away. So it just wasn't super accessible for me when I was an adolescent. So coming here, I was always very hungry to see theater, to see more theater, and always welcomed the opportunity to get outside of the Evansville UET bubble and see some professional theater.
The McCarthy Fund brings in someone to direct, or more particularly maybe the technical side whether it's someone that has expertise in sword fighting or those types of things.
Making fairies fly across the stage.
Right.
People that are graduates of our department, or like we bring in every year a professional photographer who takes photographs for headshots for actors. It's great to be able to then pay a small stipend to someone who comes in and gives very valuable information and attention to students.
Watch me. Okay. If I didn't want to do it, I just... Nice. You landed with your wrist first, not your butt. Ready. There it is, nice. Now yell, here we go, 3, 2, 1. That's it.
It's an expertise that certain people develop that they can bring to the university and show just small but very important parts of the theater production itself.
So that they go out into the world as an informed person rather than a wide-eyed person looking at the tall buildings when they go to New York or Chicago or Los Angeles.
I'm Amy Attaway, class of 2001. When I was a student at the University of Evansville, everyone talked about the UET mafia. And I wasn't sure if I believed it, but then when guest artists started to come in and talk about how they were still working with people from their year, from their class, I thought, oh, okay, maybe there's something to this. And now that I get to come back here and work with people from my class and my era of UET, I think that is a real gift to be able to show the current students that we are all out there working. We're out there making success in our fields, and we're ready for them. We're ready for them to take the next step in their careers and join us out there.
In the decade since its mid-century founding, the University of Evansville Theater Society has grown to nearly 400 members and is responsible for raising $45,000 annually for student scholarships and experiential activities. My name is Molly Duckworth, and I'm a 2012 graduate of the Department of Theater and a former UE Theater Society assistantship recipient. In mere days, renovations will begin on Hyde Hall, and with it, the construction of the state-of-the-art John David Lutz Theater Lab. This 88-seat proscenium theater will be the home of the McCarthy Guest Artist Series, an incubation space for new plays, and a state-of-the-art teaching laboratory for lighting, sound, and production design and technology. We hope you will join us for the opening of this new facility in fall of 2019. Thank you for your generous support over the past half-century and for joining us tonight as we honor the past, celebrate the present, and look toward the future.